Trump has been leaning more and more into Robert F. Kennedy Jr. aligned statements about vaccines. And what he does, which is really harmful, is acts like he's just pontificating, and he's like, I don't know, but like some vaccines, and I heard that a kid and maybe something autism. I'm not saying autism, but maybe. And that's one thing if you're just sitting with friends thinking out loud. He's the president, and every time he says something falsely linking vaccines to autism or talking about how it's like a horse, you're giving kids so many vaccines, they turn into a horse or whatever. You'll hear that in a second. Then a few more Americans get skeptical enough to not follow expert informed protocols, and we get less safe from the standpoint of health. And I want to, before showing you the latest example of that, take you back to when RFK Jr. and Trump were making their deal to have RFK Jr. support Trump, and this call leaked between them where Bobby said nothing.
McDonald's cheeseburger.
Except for that. And Trump was just rambling on. It should have given us, it did, some preview of how it wasn't going to be that RFK Jr. would go rogue, which he also is doing that, but that Trump actually ideologically aligns enough that could be very dangerous for public health in the United States. So here was the call, then we'll look at the latest Trump statement.
I agree with you, man. Something's wrong with that whole system. And, and it's the doctors you find. Remember I said I want to do small doses. Small doses. When you feed a baby, Bobby, a vaccination that has like 38 different vaccines, and it looks like it's meant for a horse, not a 10-pound or 20-pound baby. It looks like you should be giving a horse this. And do you ever see the size of it, right? It's this massive. And then you see the baby all of a sudden starting to change radically. I've seen it too many times. And then you hear that it doesn't have an impact, right? But you and I talked about that a long time ago.
Yes, Mr. President. Actually, it's not like a horse. It turns the baby into a horse. Wow. That's so wild. It turns the baby into a whore? No, Mr. President. No, Mr. President. I said a horse. Why are you calling them whores, Bobby? So strange. No, Mr. President, I'm saying, nay, they get turned into a horse. Wow.
And anyway, I would love you to do something, and I think it'll be so good for you and so big for you. And we're gonna win. We're gonna win. We're way ahead of the guy. And he's interesting. It was very nice, actually. He called me. And he said, how did you choose to move to the right? So I guess that's, people say, if I was looking straight on, right? He said, I was just showing you.
This is every Trump phone call in the history of Trump phone calls. The other person's just sitting there, not saying a word. Bobby, it's so crazy. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is like, yeah. And then Trump just jumps over him. And the other thing I was thinking, he doesn't even need... Bobby could just leave his phone and leave. And Trump would just keep on going. And on that note, very dangerous what Trump had to say here. While you watch it, please do click the subscribe button. It is free. I appreciate it greatly, genuinely. And millions of people watch the show every month who aren't subscribed. So think about if everyone did, how far that would take the message.
Getting to announce any link between vaccines and autism?
Tomorrow. Vaccines are very interesting. They can be great, but when you put the wrong stuff in them, they're not. And children get these massive vaccines like you'd give to a horse. And I've said for a long time, this is no secret, spread them out over 5 years. Get 5 shots, small ones. Did you ever see what they give? They give, for a little baby to be injected with that much fluid?
You don't know anything. You don't know anything. You think you came up with the word groceries? You think you understand what the proper dosage of a vaccine is for a baby? Like they give to a horse? Why does it keep repeating that? When was the last time you saw a horse get a vaccine? How do you know the size of the vaccination? Bobby told me it actually turns them horse.
Not the actual ingredients.
A real slutty horse it turns them into. No, Mr. President. No, Mr. President, I didn't say that. Oh, man. This is great. I could just talk with myself, and between Bobby and Trump, that's the best thing ever. All day. All day.
They have sometimes 80 different vaccines, and it's crazy. It's that's a common sense thing too. It's like you're shooting up a horse. You have a little body, a little baby, and you're pumping this big thing. It's a horrible thing. So I've always felt that. But
I asked Bobby, is this why the babies are getting so fat, so much liquid? I'm not gonna do Bobby anymore. I will, just not in this segment. But he was the one who said he can see a kid and tell that they have medical problems. He's like, I saw them and I could just tell something's wrong. Or maybe he was talking about autism. I could see him and there's just something autistic. I can see it. Like as if he had this special like gaydar for autism. I just see someone and I can tell. So no, I mean what Trump's saying is wrong. And again, if you're sitting at your friend's house and you're going, oh, I just got my baby vaccinated and I was shocked at how many vaccinations they do all at once. Like that's one thing for you to just talk about. But Trump has no understanding of what he's talking about. He is discouraging people. That's what happens. The reporter said, are you going to announce a link between autism and vaccines? And Trump's what they're talking about is Tylenol. They're going to bring up Tylenol or something, but it's not a vaccine announcement. And he goes, yeah, we're going to announce that tomorrow. As if he's saying they're going to announce a link, but he just means we're going to give you an update on what we're learning about autism, which there's not. Well, why can't we ask the question? We have over and over. And just statements like that contribute to a less healthy society. And more people will die of preventable diseases. You saw him in that. Just take a little mental picture of him here. Because Cole went to go find the original source video of this press gaggle on the plane, and we did not alter these images at all. Put Cole up on screen. He'll confirm. He found them. We did not alter these. This was the video on foxnation.com of Trump on the plane. This was the video. Podcast listeners, Trump's face looks so dark that let me put it this way. People got canceled for doing what Trump looks like he's doing with the way Fox Nation uploaded this video. I don't even know what filter you could have put on to make him look like that. You think we're doing a joke. This is an actual screenshot from Fox Nation. Look at this. I don't know if Trump got the memo. We don't do that anymore. This is wildly inappropriate. Oh my gosh. What could they have possibly done? So, just thought that you all would want to see that. And then while we're on the topic of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., do you remember the CDC, now former CDC director, that Bobby fired for not being loyal enough to him? Or as he put it,
Medicare will still pay for them and Medicaid will still pay for them.
Tell the head of the CDC that if she refused to sign off on your changes to the childhood vaccine schedule, that she had to resign.
No, I told her that she had to resign because I asked her, are you a trustworthy person? And she said no. So if you had an employee who told you they weren't trustworthy, would you?
He really wants us to believe that he went to the CDC director and said, are you trustworthy? And she said, Mr. Bobby, no. That's it. He didn't even say that she had explanation. It was just no. Well, here she is. Let me just former CDC director Monterez telling the story of what was actually happening.
On August 19th, I received a directive from the Secretary's office that I now required prior approval from my political staff for CDC policy and personnel decisions. On August 21st, I was told to return to Washington from Atlanta immediately, which would have meant missing Officer Rose's memorial, something I was not willing to do. When I did return, I was concerned about my ability to continue to lead the CDC while preserving evidence-based decision-making. Commitments I had made to this committee during my confirmation hearing. On the morning of August 25th, Secretary Kennedy demanded two things of me that were inconsistent with my oath of office and the ethics required of a public official. He directed me to commit in advance to approving every ACIP recommendation, regardless of the scientific evidence. He also directed me to dismiss career officials responsible for vaccine policy without cause.
So do you think that the truth is what she just explained, very specifically, that he wanted her to rubber stamp all the moves they were going to make and get rid of people if he wanted them gone, even if there were no grounds for it? Or do you think he went to her and said, "Are you trustworthy?" And she said no. We don't know the truth, but we can use a little thing called
A brain.
There we go. Thank you, Cole.
В первую очередь он.
Oh my gosh. As ready as ever. His brain was firing. All right, there we go.